Back in the fall, we got a call from our friends at Yamaha about an exciting new product they've had in development that was now ready to go to market. Some of you may remember the SuperJet from back in the day. The original SuperJet was launched in 1990 with a 633cc 50-horsepower two-stroke engine capable of 38 miles per hour. The SuperJet is back, and we got the opportunity to go play with one, as well as the brand new WaveRunner VX Cruiser HO. It was a late-season invitation, but one we simply couldn't pass up.
It is October 15th.
It's cold.
It's cold. It's a high of 12 Celsius, 53 Fahrenheit. We have two brand new 2021 Yamahas. This is the big news, really. It's the new SuperJet.
What do you think we can expect with this? Is it going to be too heavy to run?
Kawasaki did this a few years ago, and theirs is fairly heavy. It's 575 pounds. This thing is only 375, significantly lighter than the competition.
And it's got L mode, too, for a guy like me.
That's right. We've heard top speed is 54 miles an hour. Yikes! But in L mode, it restricts it to 40, which is probably pretty good because it'll be less sensitive on the throttle.
So we decided to have a little gentlemanly competition to put these toys to the test. We are going to set up a figure-8 course and see who can do the most laps in 5 minutes. The winner will, of course, get bragging rights and a shiny new nickel.
It's a bit bumpy out there. It's freezing cold. Our biggest challenge is going to be staying warm.
I'm not that confident. I've never ridden a stand-up PWC before.
Rock, paper, scissors, who rides this first?
For sure.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, looks like you're first, Blacher.
To set the stage, we cruised the old President out and anchored it as a home base, and then dropped a couple of buoys in to mark the course.
I have a hose fitting adapter for the galley sink, which has hot water. So if I get too cold, I'm gonna dump hot water inside the wetsuit.
People don't usually accuse me of being over-prepared, usually the opposite. I rarely check the weather, I'm always underdressed, but I knew what we were doing today, and I knew it was gonna be cold. So I got a lot of rubber, extra jacket, I got extra socks and underwear, and my ace in the hole, this hot water bottle I found. I've never ridden a stand-up before, and I'm a little scared, but I gotta beat Blacher.
I was a bit envious of Drew on the VX. SuperJets have no neutral or reverse. Once you hit the start button, it's go or get wet. I got to drive the SuperJet out to the course for a little extra time on the machine. And little does Drew know, I actually got out for some practice yesterday after picking up these PWCs from Yamaha. And this thing was a blast. The new SuperJet has been completely redesigned. New hull, new deck, new pump, new pole, and of course, a new engine. Now powered by Yamaha's 3-cylinder 1049cc 4-stroke TR1 engine, which first showed up in VX models back in 2016.
And there you have it, a 4-stroke stand-up.
Yamaha does not publish horsepower, but most estimates are in the 100 range. Regardless, it is enough for a top speed of 54 miles per hour. Not that I went anywhere near that speed. Like all Yamaha boats, fit and finish is superb, and there are a ton of little improvements derived from years of racing. For one, there is a digital fuel gauge, finally. The lightweight pole has a built-in pin that holds it up when you want to pull the cowl. There's even a divot in the tray to help with reboarding. All that's missing is a flashy graphics package. The problem with emission-based projects, they often spoil the fun. I was worried that the new 4-stroke engine might ruin the SuperJet experience. If the engine was too heavy or the boat too big, it might feel like a tank. But I must say, Yamaha really nailed this one. The new SuperJet is incredibly nimble. But more than that, once you get it leaned over, it really digs in and allows you to carve a turn like a slalom skier. It's an incredible feeling when you get it just right. Once on plane, however, they are more stable, at least in a straight line. And the hull does a surprising job of absorbing choppy water. The tricky part to riding a stand-up is turning. Like a motorcycle, you have to tip them over, either by pulling on the bars or steering in the opposite direction. Too much and you end up in the drink. Not enough, and you end up in the drink. But once you get it leaned over, you can pour on the throttle. With a little practice, combine those three things just right, this watercraft will turn on the proverbial dime. Yet it is still stable enough to go for a leisurely ride. Stick around as we find out once and for all who can do the most laps on the SuperJet in the cold.
A camper enclosure on a pontoon boat is not a novel concept, and Sylvan's offered it as an option on theirs for years, but they've never designed an entire layout completely with the camper in mind, until now. This is the 2021 Sylvan 8524 Mirage Resorter. These days, more and more pontoon boaters, especially in the northern US and Canada, are looking for a platform that'll do more. We've even seen a few that'll spend an entire summer camping on their pontoon boats, like a lot of people would with an express cruiser. And that's exactly where the idea for this Mirage Resorter was born. It's a platform that can fish, cruise, and can even support days or even weeks on board.
The Mirage Resorter is 24 feet 10 inches long with a 102-inch beam and a dry weight of 2,425 pounds. Rated for up to 150 horsepower, unless you opt for the mini third log like our test model to get that power limit up to 300. Standard equipment on the Mirage Resorter is a full canvas camper enclosure that seals almost the entire boat off from the elements, plus a pair of swivel fishing seats that allow casting from the foredeck, and a stainless steel grill at the stern, perfect for frying up your catch. Also standard is a starboard side galley complete with a pump sink, with just enough room behind for a full-size cooler.
Also standard is this 4-person dinette area, which is great for eating breakfast, lunch, dinner. But when needed, the table pops out, the aft seat folds all the way forward, and you've got a nice big berth.
Both seat backs can lean forward or aft to give you a wide range of different seating configurations, and it integrates well with the smaller lounger at midship, with storage inside the seat cushion and a privacy enclosure on the forward side. Plus, a convenient USB outlet above a pair of open storage shelves is accessible in any configuration. Up front, we find the classic pontoon layout with 2 big comfy loungers on rotocast bases with big storage compartments that run the length of each seat. The sunken lip keeps water from dripping in, and drains in the floor will take care of any that does, ensuring everything inside stays fresh and dry. Our platform was covered in a stylish non-slip sea weave from the bow right back to the stern, where we find an extended swim platform with a 4-step reboarding ladder and an optional tow bar.
The helm on this Mirage Resorter is super simple. Typical gauge cluster right up front. Jensen stereo controls with AM, FM radio, and Bluetooth for those speakers that we see molded into the seat bases. We've got plenty of room to mount electronics over here, which you might want if you're going camping in a place where you've never been. Plus rockered switches and USB power on the left.
The console also features a windscreen and a battery compartment accessed by the door on the side.
One option that would be a must-have for campers is a second battery, so you can run your accessories. And there's a great spot to put a second battery, just opposite the first one, in this aft bench.
Anyone out long-term on any boat is also going to need tons of storage, and there's plenty aboard. However, a lot of that space is quickly eaten up when the camper enclosure comes down and stows away in the seat compartments. That means you're almost certainly going to need to bring some extra storage containers along for the ride. Speaking of riding, our test model was powered by a brand new 175 horsepower Mercury V6 4-stroke. Alone on board with a full tank of gas, I hit a peppy top speed of 45 miles per hour, but cruised best in the mid-20s.
One of the biggest things about camping on a pontoon boat is it is way more manageable than even a small express cruiser. It's nice and light, easy to drive, and you get that nice, floaty, comfortable pontoon ride, and you can go a little bit faster without having to worry about burning too much gas.
And along with fuel savings, you get the season-stretching capabilities and the easy routine maintenance that comes with outboard power, especially with the access hatch in the top of the cowling on these Mercury V6s.
If I was going to buy a boat like this to take out on a lot of camping trips, I would definitely opt for the third log package. Gets you a little more horsepower, bump that max horsepower rating up to 300, which means you can load this thing down with all kinds of gear go out for as long as you want. So if you're looking to give up your big cruiser, but not quite ready to give up the cruising lifestyle, this Sylvan 8524 Mirage Resorter might be something you'll want to take a look at.
As we take the water in search of adventure, wake surfing has all but taken over the tow sports landscape. And why wouldn't it? A smoother learning curve, gentle falls, and a social atmosphere that is like no other are skyrocketing surfing to be one of the most popular things you can do on the water. And boat builders have clearly taken notice. Just like wakeboarding did a generation ago, they've clearly begun to design towboats with wake surfing top of mind. Fresh out of the factory, today's towboats can turn any lake into the bonsai pipeline while granting any rider control over every aspect of the endless surf wave. It's hard to argue that any company has been closer to the forefront of that revolution than Nautique. And on this beautiful July morning, we met up with the guys from Pride Wake to take an up-close look at the newest evolution in Nautique wake surf boats.
Pride Wake is a wake school underneath Pride Marine Group. We travel in and around the Muskoka Lakes. We also have a location down in Lake Simcoe. We usually do a lot of wake surfing, a lot of water skiing, and a lot of wakeboarding. Everybody wants to wake surf because obviously number one, hands down, would be the social aspect. You're right there, you're interacting with the people in the boat, and it's super easy for an instructor being right there to talk to the rider. Number two, you're going a lot slower, less impact, so you're putting a lot less strain on your body. Instead of going 20 miles an hour while you're wakeboarding, you're only going 11 miles an hour while you're wake surfing. If you do fall, it's just like you're jumping into a pool, no crash and bang. Number three, it's super fun.
As a division of Pride Marine, Pride Wake has access to the latest and greatest boats Nautique has to offer. In 2012, Nautique launched its G Series, working closely with its roster of world-class athletes to revolutionize the wakeboard boat. With its deep V hull, massive freeboard, and tons of built-in ballast, this thing was designed to push a lot of water into a giant wake. Then the Nautique Surf System was introduced to cement its place as an industry leader in the newest on-water craze. Ahead of the 2020 model year, Nautique introduced the G23 Paragon, the industry's first luxury performance wake boat.
So what is a luxury performance towboat? Well, for starters, it comes in at the low price of just under $400,000 Canadian, $269 US. So how does Nautique justify that price? Well, what they've done is they've taken their award-winning G23 platform and enhanced it in every single way from stem to stern. Everything in this boat has been taken up to the next level. In this form, the transom looks a little bit like the G23 right now, but what they've added are these awesome sort of lazy boy recliner spotter seats. Now, besides the driver, this is basically the best seat in the house to catch all the action when somebody's back there doing their thing. Most wake towers will fold forward or backwards to collapse. The G23 Paragon tower actually extends straight up and drops straight down. And pushing this beast through the water is PCM's supercharged 6.2-liter XR7 engine. This thing is 550 horsepower and 575 pounds-feet of torque. This thing is the engine that you need to push a big boat like this. Overall, I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with the Paragon. This is unlike any other towboat I've ever been on, and I hope it sets the gold standard and ushers in a new generation of high-performance, high-luxury towboats. For now, it's going straight to the top of my dream list for when that lottery ticket finally cashes in. All right, let's get back out there with Myles.
To raise up the rest of its line, Nautique has borrowed some of the features from the Paragon and put them into its 2021 G23. The striking polygon hull design, not just for looks, but designed to shape the wave as well. Lazy boy style seating at the transom to bring the action between the boat and rider even closer, and a host of technology designed to make a boat like this easy for anyone to get behind the wheel. As a nice surprise for us, Myles had a brand new 2021 G23 ready to go for a morning set. The best way to see what a surf boat has to offer.
Thrusters have been a huge upgrade. Turning around in general is huge. You're not bow dipping anymore. You're not going over rollers. You're just coming to a quick stop, thruster, right back around. That's it. Like obviously, since it is a V drive, it is a little more difficult to drive. Now with the thruster, you're just laughing.
One of my favorite things about wake surfing is it's such a social sport.
You have so much room in the boat in itself. Like with the squared nose bow, you can get at least 4 people in there. You can have at least 17 people in the boat in total. They've added the new exhaust, so obviously it points downwards. You don't get the fumes coming up anymore. A lot more safer for people to be on the back. They've taken weight out of the boat, out of the ballast. So instead of 2,850 pounds, it's down to 2,200 pounds ballast weight.
Tell me what that Nautique surf system is.
The NSS is plates that come out underneath the boat to create drag, depending on which side you're surfing to. Now they've made it a lot more user-friendly. You can see on the display that it literally just says wake shape, gives you a cross-sectional view of the wake shape. And if you want it steeper, longer, however you may want it, just tap the button and you're there.
It's that easy.
That easy. So the plates are now bigger in regards to the Nautique surf system, and now you have a bigger wake and less wear and tear on the engine.
So they take out weight in the ballast, but can still make the wave bigger. That's
Absolutely.
insane.
And cleaner for sure.
This thing throws out a tsunami, a much bigger wave than even nature can kick up on most lakes. So please, have a little respect for your neighbors and surf as far from the shore and other boats as possible.
That could be the cleanest wave I've ever surfed. You know, it's nice when it makes a guy like me look good.
Yamaha gave us 2 new PWCs to play with. A 2021 WaveRunner VX Cruiser HO and a 2021 SuperJet stand-up PWC. Even though it was the end of October and bitter cold, we could not pass up the opportunity to play with these new water toys. To make things interesting, Drew and I decided to stage a little competition to see who could do the most laps on the SuperJet through a figure-8 course in 5 minutes. It's a matter of staying on and staying warm.
Although we are nice and protected in here, when you get out there, there's that breeze, and it's tough.
Oh yeah, with the stereo, it's gonna be really tough.
I was first up on the SuperJet, but not before filling up. Filling up what, you might ask? My wetsuit.
This is hooked to the hot water tank, and I have all 3 wetsuits on.
You got 3 wetsuits on?
The idea with the WaveRunner was to distract the other rider with lousy music played over the new integrated marine stereo system while making waves on the course. I found a nice song to distract John. John seemed to have his figure-8s under control. I thought I'd dive a little deeper into this brand new VX Cruiser HO. On a water test, you don't normally get 3 different kinds of water. On the ride out, it was white caps, but it got nice and calm in the bay by the Princess. I was blown away by how well this VX handled in a wide variety of conditions. This year, Yamaha took its high-performance, lightweight Nano XL hull from its race-ready GP series and put it in the VX. With a little more weight than its racing counterpart, the VX was surprisingly quick and incredibly responsive. I could lock right in tight to the buoy without spinning out or aspirating the jet. Key for ripping tight figure-8s on the VX is the new seat profile, which is 1.5 inches narrower than before. And that little bit really lets you grip the machine with your knees while getting right up over the bars to dig into those tight turns. And under the seat, Yamaha's 1.8-liter 4-cylinder high-output engine is a beast. The most displacement in any PWC engine on the market and a crazy amount of horsepower in a WaveRunner for a straightaway top speed of 65 miles per hour. And if you're spending a whole day out on this thing, Yamaha's expanded the storage under the hood, under the seat, and even in the watertight glove box, which has LED lights, USB and 12-volt power, and a pocket for your cell phone, which hooks right into those waterproof speakers. Speaking of which, I've got to get back to annoying John. When it was time to change rides, you could really see the stability of the VX. We were both on the same side of the boat, and it wasn't even close to flipping over. But it didn't take me long to get wet once I mounted the SuperJet. And it didn't get a whole lot better from there. As with a lot of things, it's a great idea to use the buddy system, and thankfully John was there to drag me back to the WaveRunner every time I fell off.
The jet drive system of both machines is actually really safe. So dragging Drew back to the SuperJet each time was pretty easy to do.
At one point, I'd fallen off so many times I forgot to put the lanyard back on, so after my next fall, the SuperJet idled away like a lost sheep. Luckily, Cowboy John was close by to lasso the SuperJet and ride it right back to me.
I hope you got that on film!
I don't know if you can tell, but this was the first time I'd ever ridden a stand-up, so stance was a big thing to figure out. Whether it's side by side or completely sideways like a wakeboard, or like I found, staggered like a slalom skier was most effective for me. And after all that, I finally made a figure 8 lap on my feet. All it cost me was my ego and a pair of shades. God, I hate losing to John, especially after I found out what a cheater he is.
And I have all 3 wetsuits on.
You got 3 wetsuits on?
And then John hopped back on the SuperJet and did some laps around us, just to rub it in a little more.
Thank God for that.
You ain't eating if you ain't cheating. I wasn't as cold as I thought I'd be. These wetsuits are friggin' awesome. The SuperJet was actually fairly easy to ride.
Speak for yourself. I spent more time swimming. But the good news is I wasn't cold either. The blood was flowing.
Forget the gym membership. Just get a SuperJet and spend an hour a day on it. You're gonna lose weight like crazy
I
and
know.
build muscle mass.
I feel like I did 15 pull-ups, which I've never done in my life, so maybe I should hit the gym.
The other big surprise for me was the VX hull. Around the buoys, you could put it within an inch and just go right around the buoy, lap after lap. It doesn't spin out. It just hooks up and turns. I love that about that boat.
And that's that GP hull on that VX. The SuperJet, I'll have to give it another shot, but it was a fun day.
Rock, paper, scissors, or who gets to drive it back in the big waves?
I don't know if I'll get back before nighttime if we go back, so I'll leave that one up to you.
More comedy, Rio. All right.